this is bad. So I was really not hoping to make one of these videos, especially this soon, but we're the Browns. Something always has to go wrong, no matter what it is, how it happens. Something always has to go wrong. So if you have not heard already, Mack Wilson got injured today in practice, second day of padded practices, and if you have not seen the video, I'm going to go ahead and play it. It's not too graphic, so here you go. So as you can see, he pretty much just tweaked it, and that's why when I seen it the first time, I thought, I don't think that's too bad. It looks like, it's one of those injuries where it'll hurt for a while and then you'll be fine. I played football, I had all kinds of injuries like that. But this is something evidently that's more severe, and I don't know exactly what it is. But I'm hearing now that potential season-ending surgery is on the line, and clearly that means that it's a big deal. So, when you're dealing with your knee, there's so much in there that could go wrong. ACL, MCL, all kinds of ligaments and stuff. And, when I had first heard this, because I was, at work, looked down at my phone and seen that Mack Wilson appeared to be injured, nothing known at this time, I thought, well, you know what? It was probably him going a little too hard, just like he did the day before, and got Nick Chubb injured, or in concussion protocol. So I thought, you know what? That's just him being an idiot, going that much too hard. He's got to learn. But now, clearly from that video, it wasn't his fault. It was a freak accident. Just got tripped up and, tweaked it. Looks like he hyperextended it. Not a good look. This is a big loss because, if you say, let's just go down the line. Obviously, you don't want any of these things to happen. Let's say a Jarvis or an Odell gets injured. Okay, well, obviously you'd have either one, whoever's not injured, Jarvis or Odell still, and then you'd have guys who you believe in. Baker's got great relationship and connection with Rashard Higgins. Kadero Hodge, a little bit of a relationship there from last season. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who I believe can step up big. There's more depth there, if you know what I mean. Running back, say Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt gets injured. Same thing there, you'd still have one left. Same thing with the tight end room, Njoku or Hooper. And I'm not saying that those guys don't have value, because clearly they do, but when you look at the defensive side of the ball for this team, the linebacking core, no matter how much they get mad at people saying this, the linebacking core is the weakest spot on this defense. And that's not a slight to those guys. That's just the truth. You have two guys who are second-year players in Mack Wilson and Sione Takitaki, and you bring in a guy in B.J. Goodson who's not been, I don't want to say he's not been successful, but, it's not like he's been knocking it out of the park, if you will. You draft a rookie in Jacob Phillips, who I'll get into in a little bit. And you got some other guys behind him who, they're not starters. They're solid depth pieces, but they're not starters. Those are the guys that, if need be, could fill in for a player or two. Mack Wilson, you lose Christian Kirksey and Joe Schobert in free agency. And the whole idea was, we believe in these two guys with Taki and Mack. Mack Wilson was your bet. Mack Wilson is the guy you had confidence in to say, you know what, we can let Schobert walk because this kid is something special. And in a room that's not as crowded as it was before with those two gone, I expected him to step up and play at a Pro Bowl level. I really did. A guy of his skill set, we talked about it last year. If he would have stayed another year at Bama, he could have probably been a first-round pick. And that's just not me saying that. There's a lot of people who think that, who watch college football. He comes from a program where they continue to just boot out talent at a high level. And then in his first year, he clearly turned a lot of heads, being, I believe he was a fifth-round pick, into being a starter on this team and a very good starter, I would say. He was one of the most, biggest positives on that Browns team all of last season. So he was expected to take a role that he had last year and basically get handed the reins as like, you're their guy. You're our guy. We're putting all of our confidence in you. Prove us right. Now with him out, potentially out for the entire season, and even if he's not out for the entire season, he's going to be out for a long time. You don't have season-ending injury for some surgery rather for something that's not going to, keep you sidelined for a game or two. So odds are we're going to have to move forward without Mack Wilson for this season. And I had thought prior to his injury, I think we need to go out and get more depth, whether that be trade. I don't know, you could go for a guy like a Clay Matthews, but he's more of that, maybe not your traditional linebacker, if you will, is more of a, he'd be more of a pass rush threat. Whereas when you're replacing somebody like Mack, you're going to want a traditional linebacker who can fly around. And I think the loss of Mack Wilson, not just from an expectation standpoint, but you're facing guys like Lamar Jackson. As a linebacker, you've got to be able to cover, number one, and he does that at an elite level. And he'd be able to cover Mark Andrews, but more specifically, when you have to chase down Lamar Jackson coming out of the backfield as a runner, like he does so often, a guy like Mack Wilson who's quick, who's physical, that's a guy you want against that type of a player. And, it's like now you don't have that. I think we need to go out, make a trade, add somebody who is, I'm not saying give up a lot, but, I really don't have a name for you. I wish I did. I'd have to go through the rosters and just see who's a guy, they'd be willing to give up. But this one hurts. And I look at a rookie in Jacob Phillips, and I've been impressed with pretty much every single rookie that we've had. Harrison Bryant looks great. What I've seen from Jedrick Wills looks great. What I've seen from Donovan Peoples-Jones when he gets an opportunity has looked great. Nick Harris looks great. I'm not sure if I said Harrison Bryant already, but he looks fantastic. Phillips looks good. I'm trying to think if I forgot anybody. I don't think I did. No, I don't think I did. But anyway, they've all impressed. And Jacob Phillips led that superstar-filled LSU defense in tackles. So he's showing in camp that he can play at a starter level. That's not my concern. I feel very good about Jacob Phillips going forward based on what I'm seeing so far. So I think he's a guy who he won't have the experience when it comes to NFL caliber starter, but I think he can step in and fill the role kind of like Mack did last year, where he was drafted as Mack was drafted as a fifth rounder. I can't remember. I think was Phillips third? third or fourth, something like that. He could fill a similar role, but the difference between Jacob Phillips and Mack Wilson, Jacob Phillips is your tackling specialist, sit back in the middle and not necessarily pick apart an offense, but when it comes to filling holes, going and making plays in the backfield, that's kind of who Jacob Phillips is. Whereas Mack Wilson, he can fly all over the place. So, I don't know. Could this potentially change the scheme that we're wanting to run with the linebackers moving into the DBs? I don't know. I really don't. But I definitely think that Andrew Berry needs to go out and find somebody. And it needs to be somebody who has, what I would prefer is somebody who's been in the league at least a couple years, who has the experience, a similar type of player, a guy who's very fast, can fly around. And I'm not saying when you go out and look for somebody, don't look long term. Look for this 1 year. I don't know, but this is a huge, huge, huge loss. Because now, B.J. Goodson looked very good in practice today. I was going to make a video talking about day, 3 and 4 of camp. But, with this news, this is something that needs to be talked about on its own. It's a heartbreaker. It's a heartbreaker for him too, because he had a chip on his shoulder, and you've seen that in the way that he practiced. But for the Browns, this could be, I don't want to overstate how big it is, but the defensive side of the ball was not necessarily a concern, but there's a lot of question marks. And it's like, now you take one of your, that you thought was a for sure piece, and he's gone. Now, I will say this for Sione Takitaki, a guy who basically was on the sideline watching Mack Wilson get in the game. And, where your pick doesn't matter to me unless you're a super high pick. Because I look at guys like Donovan Peoples-Jones in the 6th round, who I think in the end could, they do these redrafts a few years down the road, look back at it. When they do the redraft, I think they could easily put him, in the first 2 rounds or whatever, and that doesn't matter. But Sione Takitaki, he's kind of a similar style to a Jacob Phillips, but I think he might be a little bit more physical. And that's not saying Phillips isn't, but, Phillips is kind of your focus on getting the tackle, whereas Taki's more that hard hitter. But this is, I really don't know. I don't, because it's like, I figured you should go out and get more depth anyway, but, So I'm seeing this from Mary Kay Cabot, just to give you an update before we close here. Update. Browns linebacker Mack Wilson suffers a significant hyperextended left knee. Season-ending surgery is being considered. Source says he will see another doc to decide on surgery, the source says. So, man, it's like I said, if it's that bad, regardless, surgery or not, he's going to be out for a while. So, I have faith in Andrew Berry. I do. I think John Dorsey set a very high standard for this team, and I believe Andrew Berry's, that baseball was on a tee for him, and he knocked it out of the park this offseason. But, when you don't get to see the preseason games, it's going to be hard to find those guys who, the third, fourth string guys who is on a crowded team and, if they went to another team would succeed. This is a time where you'd love to have a Jannard Avery if we didn't trade him. But I don't know, man. I don't know. So we'll see what Andrew Berry does. I definitely know every aspect of possibility will be evaluated, knowing them. So, we'll see. It's just kind of a wait and see right now, but man, does this suck. It's unfortunate. Guys with huge potential, man, it sucks. And hopefully Nick Chubb's okay. But, so, anyway. Till then, let's see. Dog Pound Pod, August 30th, starting up. I'd appreciate it if you would go and support. So stay tuned for that. As always, check out the Kick 6 podcast. Subscribe here. Let me know what you think. And if you watch to the end, thank you. I'd appreciate it if you drop a name to me who you think would be a guy who we should go out and get. I'm very interested in hearing that because I'm starting to think of some names, but, that, of course, brings the question of, what would you have to give up? So, all right, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Hopefully nobody gets injured by